Echoes of the Forgotten Gods. Days turned to weeks as the survivors of the flood began to rebuild. Among them, Adamu, Lilitu, and Marduk worked tirelessly to guide their people, carving out a fragile new beginning from the wreckage of the old world. One night, beneath a sky shimmering with unfamiliar stars, Adamu stood alone at the edge of a broken valley. The air was heavy with memories of battle, of loss, and of a question that refused to leave his heart. Did we truly win? He murmured. Lilitu approached, her footsteps light against the shattered earth. The gods are gone, she said softly, but their secrets linger. She held a small golden shard, the last fragment of the deluge engine, still faintly pulsing with an unknown energy. Adamu's jaw tightened. Enlil's wrath is buried, but not destroyed. What if the Anunnaki return? Marduk joined them, his gaze distant. If they do, we will not kneel, he said. We know their power, but we also know their weakness. We are no longer their creations, we are free. But in the heart of the earth, freedom had a price. Beneath the ruins of the Anunnaki citadel, something ancient stirred. The remnants of the deluge engine hummed softly, sending out faint vibrations like a heartbeat. Deep within its core, a presence began to awaken, a shadow older than the gods themselves. Far from the mountains, Enki walked alone through the ruins of a forgotten temple. His face, once calm and wise, was lined with sorrow. He had broken the laws of his kin to save humanity, but now he feared what he had unleashed. A whisper drifted through the air, a warning. They are not gone. He knelt before a glowing tablet, his fingers tracing the ancient symbols. Within its surface, he saw glimpses of a future yet unwritten, of cities rising and falling, of kings who would wield powers they did not understand, and beyond it all, the faint shadow of something returning from the stars. Adamu's voice echoed in his memory. We are more. Enki closed his eyes. You must be, he whispered, or all will be lost. As the winds howled across the empty plains, the first dawn of a new age broke. But beneath the light, the echoes of the forgotten gods still lingered, waiting. And one day, they would rise again. The awakening below, in the depths beneath the ruined Anunnaki citadel, the pulse of the deluge engine grew stronger. Forgotten mechanisms stirred to life, gears turning with a sound like distant thunder. Something ancient, something left behind, was waking. Amid the rubble, a figure emerged. Tall, draped in blackened armor that shimmered like obsidian, its eyes burned with a cold, golden light. This was no simple guardian. This was Namtar, Enlil's enforcer, reborn. His memory burned with vengeance. The rebels had destroyed the citadel, shattered the gods' dominion, but the will of the Anunnaki was not so easily broken. The flood had been only the beginning. Namtar stretched his hands toward the broken deluge engine, feeling the echoes of its lost power. With time, he could restore it, and when he did, the world would kneel once more. But first, the unfinished war. Far above, Adamu stood at the edge of the settlement, watching the fires burn low as the survivors slept. Though their hands had built new homes, his heart remained restless. Lilitu joined him, the golden shard from the deluge engine still faintly glowing in her palm. It's not over, is it? She asked quietly. He shook his head. No, something stirs beneath us. I feel it. The gods left their mark too deeply to simply fade away. Marduk, ever watchful, approached with his hammer slung across his back. If the gods rise again, he said, his voice like distant thunder, will be ready. Adamu's grip tightened around the hilt of his blade. We broke their chains once, we can do it again. But even as he spoke, a cold wind swept across the valley, carrying with it a whisper. Faint, distant, yet unmistakable. We are not finished. Enki's warning. Far to the south, in the ruins of the Temple of Anu, Enki worked in secret. His hands traced the ancient glyphs, searching for the truth buried beneath time. Like a flicker of energy danced across the surface of the Tablet of Destinies. He saw visions of empires rising, of kings crowned with stolen power, and of the day when the gods themselves would return. A chill ran through him. The deluge engine's destruction had not erased the Anunnaki's hold. It had only delayed the inevitable. They will come back, he murmured, and when they do, humanity must be ready. His fingers traced a final glyph, a hidden key to power beyond even the gods' understanding. But to awaken it would require a great sacrifice. With a heavy heart, Enki began to carve a final message, a warning to those who would come after. When the gods return, only the blood of the first rebellion can stop them. A shadow on the horizon. At the heart of the broken citadel, deep beneath the earth, Namtar's golden eyes opened fully. The power of the deluge engine flowed into his body, restoring what had been lost. The gods had fallen, but their enforcer would rise again. And this time, there would be no mercy. As the stars burned cold and distant above, a new age was dawning, an age where gods and mortals would clash once more. And in the blood of humanity, the final battle had only just begun. The rise of shadows. The earth trembled beneath the valley as the last light of dusk faded. Adamu stood at the edge of the settlement, watching the distant ruins of the Anunnaki citadel. A cold wind brushed against his skin, but the chill he felt came from within, a warning he could not ignore. Lilitu approached quietly, the golden shard from the deluge engine glowing faintly in her hand. "It grows stronger," she murmured. "Whatever lies beneath, it's waking up." Adamu's jaw tightened. "Then we don't have much time." From behind them, Marduk emerged, his massive hammer resting on his shoulder. "Let it rise," he said, his voice filled with defiance. "I've broken the gods before. I'll do it again." But beneath the ruined citadel, something ancient stirred. In the heart of the broken chamber, Namtar knelt before the remnants of the seal of Anu. His blackened armor gleamed in the dim light as golden energy pulsed through his veins. He had once been a servant of the gods, now he would become their avenger. "The age of mortals is an illusion," he whispered, "and I will tear it apart." With a single touch, the seal began to awaken. Faint threads of power reached toward the heavens, calling across time and space to Nibiru. Far away, Enki felt the disturbance. In the shadows of the Temple of Anu, he traced the last lines of a prophecy. His heart was heavy with the knowledge of what was to come. Only the blood of the first rebellion can stand against the gods' return. He had given humanity freedom, but now they would have to fight to keep it. As the first tremor shook the valley, Adamu turned to Lilitu and Marduk. "We end this," he said, "together." And in the depths below, Namtar smiled. The gods were coming back. The echo of vengeance. The ground trembled beneath Adamu's feet as the first tremor faded. From the distant ruins of the Anunnaki citadel, a cold, golden light pulsed. Slow, deliberate, like the heartbeat of something awakening. Lilitu's fingers tightened around the glowing shard. "It's not just waking up," she said, her voice low. "It's calling to something out there." Adamu's expression hardened. "Nibiru." Marduk let out a slow breath, his massive frame tense with anticipation. If Namtar opens that gate, it won't just bring the gods back, it'll bring their war with it. A second tremor rolled through the valley, stronger this time. In the distance, the ruins shifted, and a jagged column of black stone pierced the ground, a relic of the old world rising to the surface. Adamu turned to Lilitu. "Can the shard stop him?" Lilitu shook her head. "It's only a fragment. The deluge engine is broken, but..." Her voice trailed off as an idea took root. "If we reach the heart of the citadel, we might be able to sever the connection before the gate opens." Marduk's lips curled into a fierce grin. "Then let's stop talking and start breaking things." The three of them moved swiftly through the valley, the cold wind thick with the scent of ancient power. Every step they took brought them closer to the ruins, and closer to the growing sense of something watching from the shadows. Deep beneath the earth, Namtar stood before the fully awakened seal of Anu. His golden eyes gleamed as he traced the ancient glyphs with his fingers. The power flowed through him, igniting a hunger that even the gods had feared. "They thought they could defy us," he murmured. "They thought they were free." He raised his hands and the seal blazed with light. Across the heavens, a ripple of energy reached toward the distant stars, toward Nibiru. Far away, in the forgotten chambers of the Temple of Anu, Enki felt the ripple strike like a knife through his mind. The time he had feared was here. "They are coming," he whispered, "and if Adamu and his companions failed, the world would burn."